missing someone. Love with all your heart. Missing someone. Love with heart.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. In this week's episode, I am gonna do a continuation from the last week's episode where I transformed my client who had like a faded out bluish green tone into that really rich red using the Pulp semis. So this is what her hair looked like after a few months of just having the color completely fade out. In the last video, she did leave that like super bright, vibrant red, and then I gave her another color balm that was also red so that she could refresh it one more time at home before she came in to kind of cancel out the rest of the color. So today I'm going to be using the best thing to remove the Pulp semis, and that is Pulp Riot's blank canvas. If you guys haven't used Pulp Riot's blank canvas, it is formulated with quinoa, and it's basically just a color remover that is a lot more gentle than using any type of lightener, and you do mix it with the developers that Pulp Riot has. I normally like to mix it with 6 volume, and it's recommended to mix it 1 to 3. So I'm going to be mixing it to 1 to 3 using their 6 volume. And this is going to be super gentle. It's going to open up the cuticle just a little bit and help push out that color. The blank canvas also comes in the color white, so it's really easy to see the color come out of the hair as you're applying it. So before beginning our lightening service pretty much, or a color removing service, I already prepped her hair with the K18 spray, which is the professional spray that helps strengthen the hair during any type of lightening service. In this case, it's a color remover service. So the way that I'm going to be applying it, I've already kind of sprayed down her hair, so it's like very slightly damp. This is going to help spread the product a little bit for me since I'm going to be doing it on majority pretty much dry hair. And I'm taking about 1/4 inch sections up the head. I would say 1/4 inch to about an inch section depending on how dense her hair is, and just kind of laying that color remover right on top of where her old color is. And so I'm kind of strategically trying to paint onto only the blonde parts and really saturating those ends here. So I would consider this service to be kind of like a wet balayage type of color remover, since you are taking sections like you would normally doing a normal wet balayage. So as far as like pricing, I do price it point this service at around whatever you would charge your wet balayage or any type of freehand painting like this, because it essentially is the same thing. It's just a different product to help remove the color. And for the whole head, I will just be using the blank canvas with just 6 volume, 1 to 3. Unlike the lightener, where normally if I was doing a regular balayage, I would probably bump it up as I get closer to the front. But in this case, since we're just trying to remove the color a little bit, I just wanted to use 6 volume throughout. And I'm trying to keep my sections very clean because this is going to keep everything super neat, especially since we've been foliaging her and just like balayaging her. She's not completely solid, so I really want to be careful applying the blank canvas because I don't really want it to touch her natural. One of the great things why I love using blank canvas for this type of service is because it's so gentle on the hair yet so effective on the Pulp semis. Now I can't speak that it's going to remove other type of semis from other brands, but I would say that blank canvas has been formulated and to work best with removing the Pulp semis. So again, when applying the blank canvas, I really want to saturate like I would doing a normal balayage. That is why I would charge this like more of a free-handed balayage or a wet balayage, because of the amount of product that I am using doing this type of service. So here is a really detailed shot. You can see my weaves are more of a medium-sized weave from her last highlight, and I am just going in with my Framer brush and just kind of painting over those lines and being super careful careful not to try and get her virgin in between the highlights, because again, I don't want to bump it because her natural is just so dark, and if I were to use lightener, it would definitely bump her natural in between the highlights, and that would create all these like warm spots. So that's what we're trying to avoid. And I love using the blank canvas because it's really gentle and not very strong, in the sense that it's going to lift that natural as much as it would if you were to use regular lightener. Also, you might be wondering why I'm using foils. So the purpose of me using foils for this type of application is not to kind of keep the heat in. It's more so to keep my sections very clean. So I'm just using them to keep them clean and to keep from the product from drying out. It's not so much that I'm going to put her under the dryer. I always let my blank canvas just kind of process at room temperature. I feel like it doesn't really need heat for it to do its thing. It's very powerful, yet so gentle on the hair. I feel like I've been saying that like maybe 5 times this whole video, but you guys, I can't tell you enough that it is just the greatest thing when you're trying to remove the semis, because if you have a color that is this pastel and this light, it works so well. And you might be wondering why I didn't use this first if you watched my video from last week, and the reason is because she came in the last appointment previous to this one, her green and blue tone was super vibrant still, and if I were to use blank canvas right away on that type of vibrant hair, she still would have left kind of semi-green, and we still would have had to cancel it out in some sort of way. So this way, since we were able to cancel out a lot of the blue-green safely with a color semi, this is going to kind of save her hair in the sense to where her hair is a lot lighter and we won't have to do as many rounds of blank canvas. So what I mean by that is, so after I do this whole like section of painting on her hair and trying to remove the color this time, the great thing about blank canvas is because it's so gentle, I can go ahead and do another layer after this. So after she's done processing, I probably let her process for about 45 minutes like this, just at room temperature. I rinse it off, and then just where her stubborn areas are, which you might guess are the ends because they are more green on the ends, we just let a little more blank canvas just like sit and process on the ends, and it made a huge difference, and her hair still felt amazing. Like, it didn't feel dry or porous at all, and that is why I seriously just love this product so much, and it's great to take baby steps when removing such a vibrant semi. So this is what her hair looked like after we had rinsed out her first round of blank canvas. So the root area didn't really like need it, so we mostly just applied it on those very mids and ends where the blue-green was still a little bit there. So you can see it's super minty, and we just left the second round on for, I would say, like 10-15 minutes, and then it was ready to be rinsed and toned. So after we rinsed that second round out, again, for that second round, we did mix that 1 to 3 with 6 volume as well, and you can see how much of the color is like really out. It's like barely even green, and when we tone right on top of this, it's going to look perfect and mask it perfectly. Okay guys, so I'm going in with my assistant and we are going to be toning my client. So for her root formulation, we just mixed up from the Pulp Riot Liquid Demi line, we did 7-0 with the Demi Developer. So 7-0 is a level 7 and the 0 is natural. So this is a level 7 natural, and their 7-0 is on the slightly ashier neutral side, which I really like. So after this, I'm gonna go in with some Redken shades just because I had it, and I'm gonna be using the 8 VRO. And if you guys don't know what the VRO stands for Violet Rose, I believe, and so I'm gonna be using a level 8 Violet Rose. And so I wanted something that was kind of a violety and purple because she has some blonde in there, but on the ends you can see it's a very slightly minty green still. So I wanted a little bit of pink in there to kind of help cancel out the remainder of the mintiness on her ends. So if I were to mix that up in the Pulp Riot Liquid Demis though, I would probably formulate like 8-2, which is level 8 violet, and then do a cap size of the -66, which is red, and kind of create like almost a 8 VRO like I did using shades. So I'm going to go in, you can see I'm just using my hands with a bowl and a brush because I am saturating this toner where it's mostly green first. So I did a quick layer right where the top halo is to kind of blend with the root shade, but now I'm going in and just focusing on wherever it's green first. So the reason why I'm hitting the ends first is because I want to see the toner fully cancel out the green before I let the rest tone. And the reason why I do this is because this toner, the purpose of the formulation was to cancel out the green. So as soon as the green is fully canceled out and it looks perfectly fine is when I can rinse it off, and that will kind of give me a gauge of how dark I should let the rest go. So this way I can let the formulation process to its lightest while it's still canceling out the green, because essentially she does want to be natural, so she doesn't want to be too vibrant of a fashion color again. So just as enough green as it cancels out is where we're going to rinse everything out and keep it at that level in tone. And then also you can see that I've already sectioned out her money piece area around her face. I always leave that for last, especially if we're trying to figure out how light we want to keep this. So I firstly just toned the front all together and then lastly toned the money piece so that we could keep that nice and light. And this is what it looked like processed, and right before I rinsed it all off, you can see that it fully canceled out all the green and it was ready to be rinsed. So again, the formulation was 7-0 from the Liquid Demi Pulp Riot line, and then the ends are 8 VRO from the Redken Shades line. Alrighty guys, so here is her finished look. The lighting wasn't great because the sun was setting at this time, but you can see all of that green is nicely kind of canceled out. I hope that this is going to fade more on the neutral sandy beige side, considering what her hair looked like before we had toned it. And even though we didn't do her roots, guys, it looks so pretty. Like, I feel like it looks fresh as if we did. I feel like making that extra shadow root to kind of blend the two colors together made a huge difference, and it looks so fresh even though we didn't even touch the roots and we only kind of removed the color that was already on her old highlights. So just a quick recap. So the last week's episode, I did something that was more gentle, and then this week we did something a little bit stronger, which was the blank canvas, and then adding that Liquid Demi toner on top to kind of push out the color a little bit more and then deposit to cancel out more of the green a bit more. And I feel like it made a huge difference, and this should definitely fade closer to blondish as this comes out. Alrighty guys, so that is it for this week's episode. Thank you guys so much for watching and tuning in, and I will talk to you guys next week.